Cool. Well, it looks like everyone is seated. Hopefully you got some water and you are ready to go. Welcome to Embrace Your Uniqueness, monetizing what makes you special. I am your moderator today, Vivian Nuizi, and I am a TV host, producer, and a glam lifestyle influencer. But I'm not important right now. What's important is our amazing panelists, who I will introduce real quickly. First, we have Cheyenne Brink, who is an agent at Bella Agency. If you can do your agency wave for them.
Agency wave. That's how agents wave.
That's how agents wave. Then we also have Chris Saint, who is a host, a influencer, and also a master piercer. We have Christine Barger, who is not only an actress but also a really dope ventriloquist.
You said it right.
Okay.
Ventriloquist. Yes.
It sounds much better coming from you.
That's how we wave.
And last but not least, we have Haley Herms, who is a model, entrepreneur, and overall entertainer.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here.
So my first question for each of you is, I would like to know how you describe your personal brand and how that shows on social media.
For me, I think that I use my Instagram as more of a personal thing to show that, you know, I'm a human. I'm not just a machine behind a computer chained to a desk all day. But I also use it a lot to scout and to follow the trends. So that's something that's really important to me. But as far as my brand, it's just an insight to like my life. It's like me and my boyfriend, my birthday. It's just usually photos of me.
Yeah, it's probably the same thing. It's just unapologetically you. It's just like, this is what I'm doing today. This is my girlfriend. This is my, I know the last panel had a lot of talk about not showing your cat, but it was like, this is my girlfriend, this is my cat, this is what I'm doing. And just going through, it's like stream of consciousness almost, right? And then not worrying that things conflict is a big thing for me too.
My cats have Instagram and TikTok. Yeah, I used to do a lot more vlogging stuff. I'm really trying to focus my personal brand right now onto being more ventriloquist heavy because that's what my audience is asking for. So my brand is kind of going through a little bit of change right now from being like, hey, this is just what I'm doing today, to, hey, this is what my puppet and I are doing today. So that's kind of, I mean, but it's still about being authentic, just with a puppet. Mm-hmm.
I am definitely a lifestyle brand, so I definitely put out what I'm doing with my career, whether it be modeling, singing, whatever it is, but I do tie it into other things that I'm interested in, so beauty, skincare, fashion, of course, all those things that you think would come as a model. It's very cliche. Those are the things I do. So I very much am branded as lifestyle, and you kind of know what to expect when you come to my page. I don't have anything that's too like, whoa, that's so crazy of her. If I have different content, I have a different page for that.
So I got an overall view of each of your pages, but I really want to know what is that unique X factor that gets people to follow you in the first place, because I mean, there's so many people all over social media, and you always wonder, what is the difference between the person who has 5K, 50K, and 500K? Like, what is that emotional connection that they've created, and how did they do that?
I'll use Haley as an example. I follow Haley from my personal account. I also work with her. She sends a really nice body positive message to people. I think that's why people follow her. I don't consider myself an influencer, so I'm not using myself as an example. But I think it's about authenticity, being able to relate to the people that you follow, and really being interested in what they're gonna post. Haley also does a really good Bath Time Jesus segment, and I'm obsessed with skincare, so I always watch that because it interests me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I guess I'll bounce off of that really quick then. I personally think in my own head, people follow me not only, I try to be very body positive, but very positive in general. I want to be kind of on Instagram that one friend that wants to kick your ass in a very nice, friendly way. So I try to, tell my followers, push yourselves, do what you want to do, what makes you happy. Don't be afraid don't be afraid to be free and break away from the social norms and what you're thinking, and being able to put it out there will definitely get you one step closer to wherever you want to go, whoever you want to meet. But I also think my content is very quality. Now there's definitely, and no shade, there's people out there that just post iPhone photos and just things here and there, but I definitely think people see that I put a lot of time and energy and effort with what I create and who I also create with.
I post iPhone photos. I have a lot of young people that follow me, and I think the reason that they enjoy what I do is because, one, it's funny, it's with puppets, it's different. It's kind of hot right now to be a ventriloquist, and I don't mean like sexy. I mean like it's just a hot topic because of Darcy Lynn and Jeff Dunham and some of these other ventriloquists that have made it a really like popular thing. And so they're looking for someone who's relatable, that they can look up to and communicate with, because they can't communicate with those really big names. And so I'm accessible. I'm an accessible person with a unique skill that really wants to promote my audience to get on social media and be themselves, be unique, be weird, be awkward, whatever those things are about themselves that they are, to embrace that. I do, and everybody knows that I'm awkward, and so they're like, oh, she's somebody that I can look up to, and that is really also very anti-bully. I'm like super anti-bully, and anti-haters, anti-whatever. Like, I just want them to like be nice to each other, and that's my message to them. And I think that that's what they really want. They don't want to be a bunch of little jerks on the internet. Just sometimes they are.
I want to touch on what you said about ventriloquism becoming more popular because of people like Darcy Lynn. When you saw that shift happening, where all of a sudden people were flocking to you who may not have been interested in before, what was that like for you?
Well, when people flock to me, I like it. Flocking is a strong word. But yeah, it's a niche popular thing. But yeah, it was interesting because I never really thought about what everything else was doing to affect like social media stuff. Like it just, I didn't think about it. It was just kind of like, oh, all of a sudden I'm getting popularity. Okay, cool. And then the puppets were becoming more popular, and it wasn't so much about my content as a comedian, but more about with the puppets. So I started doing more of that and more of that. And then I started seeing these comments like, OMG, Darcy Lynn is amazing. Did she inspire you to do ventriloquism? And I was like, I've been doing ventriloquism since before she was born. But that's why they're coming to me. And so I had to embrace that. And thank you, Darcy Lynn, if you're watching this live stream. Because like, if it wasn't for young people having an interest in what I do, then they wouldn't be interested in what I do, if that makes sense. Like they're looking at other young people and then going, oh, I like that talent, I like that skill, and they're looking for it actively. Right. So it's cool. Or if they see it, then they're like, oh, let's follow her. She does that thing that girl that I like from AGT does.
Right. And Chris, you're another one. You have a very unique skill with your piercing. I mean, that has given you so many opportunities from TV and working with crazy, amazing celebrities like Marilyn Manson. How did you shape your social media to depict that, but also the other things that are a part of your personal brand and things that you do as a career?
The difficult part was the things that turn people off that thing is the ick factor. Like, it's just the right amount of danger to have a guy that has tattoos, who pierces people on camera, that puts those photos on his Instagram, but it's real careful not to show a needle going into a skin at any point. Or if somebody's going to do that, just allow the TV network to do that, you know what I mean? It's a real difficult line to walk to bring people in with something as edgy as tattoo and piercing and work in a tattoo shop, but at the same time not turn them off with it. I'm probably the only body piercer whose account you'll go onto who posts photos of themselves, that posts well-lit photos of body piercings that don't have any blood or body discoloring on them, like redness or anything like that. And it's all about having those clean photos that don't turn people off. It's like covering up body blemishes on those photos. So if somebody has a pimple or something next to it, you kind of Photoshop that out so the focus, because people always go to the most negative thing. So if somebody has something right there next to the photo, they'll always go straight to that. So it's keeping those photos clean, it's that right amount of danger, keeping it in, oh yeah, I'm looking at something edgy, but it's not disgusting and I'm not freaking myself out by doing it.
Wow. That's a lot.
Sorry,
That's a lot
off
of-
topic.
No, that's a lot of work, but it's also, I mean, it's important to talk about because that is such a specific niche, and people don't realize the different, troubles or challenges people may have in different niches.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's-
you have different issues than someone who does makeup all the time.
Yeah, when it first started out too, I was like, there are two ways I can do this. I can go the like the body piercer route and be like, this is a crazy piece of metal and it's made of this, and this is 2 degrees to this. Or I could go the like pop culture route with it and be like, okay, so I could either be the most technical piercer on the planet, or I could try to be the most popular piercer on the planet. And I don't know if I chose the right one, but those were the two options that seemed like viable to me to move forward and make money from what I was doing. Not that money's everything.
So I want to keep on the niche train. Cheyenne, when you're scouting and you're looking at people's social media accounts, what type of niches are most popular right now in your opinion? And what type of people do you look for in specific niches?
Well, our agency, we specialize in lifestyle, so I can't really bring on anyone who's like too edgy or anything just because my personal client base doesn't match up with that's just not something they're gonna ask me for. What I do look for is, are you occupying a space that's already occupied? Are you just another lifestyle blogger? Or are you a beauty blogger who specializes in vegan and cruelty-free products, and can I pitch that to my client base? So it's not just good enough to be like a beauty blogger anymore. You have to specialize in making videos of masks so that I can approach a company and I can say, blogger so-and-so can make this video for X amount of dollars for your brand, and you can use this to market your new mask that's coming out, and they'll promote it on their social channels as well. So it's important that I have materials to pitch that match up with what's realistically available to me. As far as like niches that I think are popular right now, parents and like family bloggers and families are so popular right now. I actually just stumbled upon an agency. I can't remember their name off the top of my head, but they solely specialize in family influencers, families that are popular on YouTube. And that's something that I think is kind of heading over to traditional marketing as well. Coming from a traditional marketing background and at a talent agency, we're starting to see commercials that are looking to incorporate influencers and influencer families, really. So I'd say that's something that's definitely trending.
That makes sense, because I watch Mario Lopez's Instagram account and his YouTube channel like I have his kids, and I don't have any. Oh, and about that though, why do you think parenting has become so big? Because you see a lot of mainstream traditional celebrities also now crossing into the YouTube and Instagram game, putting their families out there, from the legends to Mario Lopez to even The Rock has a channel now.
Yeah, I think it's always been a huge market. I think that it's something that's just kind of coming around to using influencers to market. It was really big in the traditional media space. We would always be working on commercials, national commercials really, that are targeted towards families. But I think it's just kind of coming around and doing like a big wave of that. And I think that because of the way that TV changes and the way that celebrities are kind of, it's just different. Celebrities are kind of on the same playing field as some of the influencers who maybe did not get a start on TV. So it's kind of like the Wild West, and whoever can get that sponsorship is just gonna get it. You know, celebrities aren't gonna turn it down, but there's value in families that are not celebrity families.
And the keyword that you said there, which is what this panel is mostly about, is sponsorship and monetization, and how you can put dollars and cents towards the following that you're trying to create or already have established. So my first question that I want all of you all to answer is, at what point did you realize this could be monetized?
Day one, really. I mean, as soon as I started putting piercing videos on the internet, the reason I did that was with reaching local people who would then come into the shop, which was the real base form of monetizing it. Mm-hmm. And then once some of those videos took off, you start realizing, oh, this is another revenue stream. There's ad revenue that's going to come in with that. There are sponsors, there are things like that. It's easy to get product out of brands, but it's another thing getting money out of those different brands. And sometimes it does take a couple of times working with them just product based before they start paying you. Which is, but yeah, you've got to have that monetization from day one. And no matter how many followers you have, if you've got 400 followers on Instagram and you want to try and monetize that channel, do it. Because I guarantee you, one of those followers is sitting on $400, $500 that they will give you for something. And it doesn't, we're even moving now to not even a product-based monetization. There are 18-year-olds with 2 million daily subscribers on Snapchat that are just putting Venmo links up and saying, swipe up and give me money for no reason. And like you said, we're in the Wild West, and we're obviously coming to this point where we're moving away from, we might even be moving away from product-based to just give me money, and it seems to work for some users. It's just a crazy revolution that we're going through in nobody minds everything you're doing being monetized anymore. We used to look at Instagram accounts and get very annoyed when we were obviously being sold something, and now it's just a matter of fact. Like you're gonna see somebody be like, "Hey, give me $20 and see what happens," and obviously nothing happens apart from that person gets $20.
Don't be shy.
I can touch on this one. The way that I started realizing that Instagram can be monetized is I work specifically with models, and a lot of times people want to follow pretty people on Instagram, so these models, they would get, hundreds of thousands of followers, and we would book them on a job, and I would just kind of say, oh, if you pay X amount, she can actually post that she's shooting for you guys. That'll get you X amount of views on your Instagram page, or she'll be sure to post this campaign after the fact once it's released. So that's kind of how it fell into my lap. Just because, again, I come from more of a traditional background, so it's always important to be able to adapt to what's happening in the present and not get left out. Just like brands are starting to have to advertise on Instagram because national network commercials are not working the way they used to. The traditional methods are just changing, and you have to adapt or kind of get lost, I guess.
I started realizing I could monetize around like 7,000 or 8,000 followers. Companies were approaching me and they're like, let me give you free stuff. And at the time when you're like, oh, I don't have that many followers, it makes sense to just accept free stuff. And so I was like, this is cool, that's cool, yeah, give me free stuff. And then it got overwhelming because with all the free stuff is this invisible pressure to be posting. And then all of a sudden one day I sat there and was like, so I'm somehow magically supposed to post 13 companies in 1 week. And I was like, what have I gotten myself into? So then finally I started reaching out to my other friends. I'm like, hey, what do you do? And they're like, girl, we're getting paid. And I'm like, oh, what a concept. So I definitely was like, okay, I'm doing this all wrong. And from there, I started researching media kits, rate cards, how to really, get my bang for my buck and just renegotiate with all these companies. Look, I guess I got way more popular than I thought I was too fast, and I just can't handle all this. And there was so much power in being able to say no to things and then realizing now I pretty much live off being an entertainer, but a good chunk of that can come here and there from my Instagram. And so definitely when the company started rolling in and I got overwhelmed, was like, yeah, definitely time to make this a career thing.
I started doing social media 10 some years ago. Back when YouTube was new, and I remember when Facebook started. I was doing a movie in Canada, and I was like, oh, what's this? I'll join that thing. I remember when Periscope launched, and I was an early adopter on that. I was really excited. And then I didn't feel like there was any money to be made, so I left social media pretty much altogether, except for to communicate with friends. I didn't use it this way at all. And then 2 years ago, I had a company reach out to me and ask me if I would come and live stream for them, and they would pay me. And I was like, what? What do you mean you're going to pay me to live stream? That's ridiculous. And they're like, yeah. And then I realized there was gifts involved, and there was all of this other money just kind of floating around on live streams and short content and Instagram and places that I had established myself on a long time ago and then just left, basically. And so for me, it was a little bit of a different, coming to terms with the fact that there's money to be made. And in the short time that I've been doing this now, it's wow, you can actually make your living just sitting at home, hanging out with your puppets. But and it's interesting because as a ventriloquist, I had been doing that professionally for a really long time. And so I'd already understood how to like approach companies and say, hey, I want to work your corporate event. Here's my rate, or what's your budget, and work with them like that. And so I used a lot of those skills into like social media stuff. So it's just taking that skill set that I'd already developed and then using it in a slightly different way, but was basically the same thing.
Okay, so two things that you just mentioned, and also Haley, were media kits and rate cards, which are essentials if you're trying to monetize what you do on social media. Can anyone speak to what those are for anyone who doesn't know what it is already?
So a rate card and media kit are two different things. Your rate card is basically what you charge for the different services you offer. So on my rate card, you're gonna find Snapchat, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and there is other social medias I'm a part of, but those are gonna be where my main followers and my main audience are. I list on there, how many percentage of my followers are female, how many of them are male, what does my engagement kind of look like, and also other places you've seen me, BuzzFeed, GL Magazine, like just other places so you can see I'm not just a random person on the internet, other people are talking about me. This is where you can expect to relate my following and brands from. So then a media kit is going to be more so about, it's going to be more detailed. It's going to be more about your followers, more about your interests, things that you've done, brands that you've worked with, more demographics, just more detail. So a company can really get, if they really want to work with you, this would get them a better sense of the longevity with them you might have. Maybe they see your media kit and they're like, wow, maybe we want to have a year contract with her, or 6 months. So it can make a difference having all those details, especially if you're fit for the right brand. They're going to jump on those demographics and details right away and be like, this hits our market, this is our niche, definitely need to have this person. And just giving a company a better idea is going to make them more willing to want to work with you.
Awesome.
Question? Yes. So when you put that rate card together, yes. How did you know what amount to put on that rate card? So that's a fun question. If you didn't hear her, she asked what amount, or how did you know what amount to put on there? So, the internet's a fun thing. There are lots and lots of websites out there that will give you like a rough idea of what you should be charging. There's one, don't quote me, something like the Blue Book.
Social Blue Book.
Social Blue Book, and that one is like, it rates your stuff a little higher, but there is, if you put like free estimated, how much should I be charging kind of things on Google, it will come up. So basically what I did was I piled those together. And then I also had a friend that was like a brand manager. And she goes, well, part of my method is I use the Costco method. And that's, I'm never going to be paid less than a person at Costco. And she's like, and the highest paying person there or something is like $17.50. So she's like, I do that times the time it takes me to, so not just shoot it, but how long did it take to edit? How long did it take you to reach out? So even though it took 3 hours to shoot, it might have took you 6 or 7 hours total. So there is lots of way you could do it. Personally, I took those theories and then I decided I was going to charge roughly about $100 for every 10,000 followers I had. But a little trick, you don't want to put even numbers. For some reason, that scares brands. If they just see 100 or like 200 or 300, they're like, oh, they're just pulling numbers out of wherever they want, So if you put this is like, sounds dumb, but it does little edge, you want to put like 110 or like 320 or 460, those, it makes it look a little more like, why is that, So, little secret.
Also, I'm pretty sure Tiny Sponsor has that
They
on
have a
there
great
as well.
calculator, yeah.
So if you go onto Tiny Sponsor and set up a profile there, they'll give you that information based on your specific personal information.
And speaking from personal experience, one thing to keep in mind too, One, most people think of their following count, but also look at your engagement, because if you have amazing engagement, you get a lot of comments, a lot of likes, you get a lot of DMs when you post something on an IG story. That's something to talk about, and that's a way to, raise the price a little bit. Like for myself, I'm considered a micro-influencer in the glam lifestyle space, and I'm kind of making a living off of my social because people really vibe with me. And so when I post something, I'm going to get a lot of comments, and they're going to be very detailed because people want to talk and I talk back at them. So if you know you have a good engagement rate, I would definitely check that and include that in your media kit or in any pitch emails you have. Yeah, so going back to the monetization part, most people right now are focused on Instagram, but I feel like there are so many other platforms, including YouTube, that have a little bit more weight, even just having a website with a blog. What are your other social platforms, and how do you monetize those?
For us at the agency, it's definitely YouTube. For some of the younger people, like we have a youth division, they were all into Musical.ly or TikTok or whatever that is. I didn't work so much on that. It was mainly brands reaching out to me for quotes on Instagram posts or features in YouTube videos.
This is going to be a really long answer, I'm so sorry. It's basically everything at once. We've been talking a lot about getting a brand to come to you, and sometimes that's difficult, especially when we're sat here as what they call micro-influencers. We might be in that middle ground between having that brand reach us, or we might not have a following where a brand's even going to approach us. There are companies like Streamlabs, Stream Elements, that will give you analytics, and they will give you a payment processor, and they'll also give you alerts on live streams. So when somebody donates on a live stream, the little penguin walks across the screen and it thanks the person for doing it, and then it engenders competition too, because it gives them leaderboards, and you're like, oh, Stephanie is only $5 behind Courtney on being the highest donator this month. So if the brands aren't reaching you, I'd say start with things like Streamlabs or Stream Elements. Streamlabs have been amazing, to be honest. The two biggest earners right now are Twitch and, to be honest, the new Facebook gaming program. Facebook's come out with a new gaming program, and they have a level up program where you can earn their currency called stars, which is kind of like an alternative to Twitch's bit program. I don't have a lot of followers on either. Well, more so on Facebook, but on Twitch, but it's still a valuable revenue stream just because of Streamlabs and a company called Restream too, which I was talking to you about, which takes your video output and distributes it among everything at once. So instead of just choosing one channel, instead of just choosing Twitch, you get to live stream the exact same content with the exact same alerts and a unified chat client, so that the chatters are chatting in between. Somebody comments on Twitch, somebody on Facebook sees that, they reply on Facebook, the Twitch user sees it. It's just genius. And what that does is, instead of choosing one platform like Facebook or Twitch, I'm streaming to Facebook, Twitch, Periscope, YouTube, Mobcrush, StreamMe, all these things, like everything at once, basically. But that's pretty much it. It's like, don't say you can't just everywhere at once. There's always that one, I always say this, but there's always that one person. Like, YouTube Live is kind of dying, but there's that one person watching on YouTube Live. If I don't switch that on, I've missed out on that $40 donation, and we want that $40.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm rambling today.
That's okay, I ramble every day. I primarily am on the short content platforms like TikTok, Firework, Vigo, who am I forgetting? I don't want anybody to get mad at me. But I'm on all these different short platforms, basically. Oevo, Cheese, Kwai, I have a bunch. I also do YouTube. I have a second brand completely on YouTube as well called The Haunt Girl, where I cover haunted houses and escape rooms, and I review them. That also has Instagram and a blog on WordPress. So I have, I feel like I'm all over the place, but most of the content is very similar. Everything under Christine Barger or Puppet Girl is all the same type of content, and everything for The Haunt Girl is the same type of content. but it's on a lot of the same platforms. I'm forgetting something. Oh, and then there's, of course, Twitter, which I feel like isn't quite the same as it used to be.
Yeah.
And Snapchat.
I love Twitter.
And Twitter to me is like, this is like my secret way, not so secret way, of reaching out to other people.
Me too.
That little check mark does a lot too to get people to talk back to you, which is nice.
Okay.
Because you can kind of reach out to people on Twitter that maybe have a huge following on TikTok or Instagram or somewhere else, but they're not so big on Twitter because they're younger. And their young audience isn't following them there. And so you can just DM them or you can message them, and they're more likely to talk to you in the DMs, and you can actually, like, speak with them.
Yeah.
I find that other big influencers will actually hit me up on Twitter instead of Instagram, which I find so odd.
It's a
But it's the best way to reach
low-key
people.
thing.
Yeah, but it's the best way to reach people, really.
Yeah, I'm boring in a sense. I guess I'm on all the major platforms: Snapchat, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. But really, like people, they want to give you this false message that Snapchat and Facebook are dying, but that is where I make a majority of my sales. They're people just sitting, like, even if you're not like doing all the features on Facebook, people are scrolling. They're opening it up at least like 5 times a day, whether it's a minute or 2 minutes. They see pictures, they see the links, they're on there. And so most of my sales are coming from the people that sit at home on their Facebook and like really genuinely like seeing what people are still doing. But also a good amount of my sales are coming from my Snapchat because there's no pressure for me on Snapchat. I don't have to add filters. I don't need to put borders. I don't need to edit anything. And so people love to go to my Snapchat. First of all, the people that follow me on my Snapchat, yes, it's way less of my audience. It's still a good, like, I think there's like 5,000. But I know those 5,000 came specifically because they're even more interested in my life. Like, those are the people that really, what brand are you wearing? What did you use for your eye care? Like, I'm talking as crazy as they can tell when I gained 5 pounds. People on the Snapchat and Facebook are the ones that are really watching and looking because they love that intimate process of feeling like they know you. So if like I got a discount code, I'm throwing it there because that's my real life. That's what they see. Instagram, you are really, even YouTube, those are so, and I don't even like Photoshop or edit, but it's still very edited. It's
very
very
curated.
one part of my life. I'm definitely not gonna go on my Instagram like I would my Snapchat and be like, today was so rough, yada, yada, yada. Like, to me, my bigger platforms are gonna be the ones where I wanna, I have more views there, so I want to send out the most positive and uplifting and motivating messages. And more on my other social media, it pushes my followers to be like, if you really want to see the real me, you want to see more, go to these platforms. I kind of try to give like the halo effect. What I want people to want, in a sense, to be me. They want my skin, they want my clothes. So you can't really do that without the smaller platforms of the people that are paying so much detailed attention.
Right. Agreed. Well, I'm going to open up the floor to questions before we wrap this thing up. Go ahead. So his question was basically about, do you have support for your social, and also have you kind of hacked the whole algorithm thing?
A lot of it's down to automation. There's a lot of things that I've done to automate some of the tasks that would require a big team, and now they don't. Say Twitter, there's a real good tool called TweetDeck, which is by Twitter, which is kind of defunct, but it still works. And you can put everything into columns, and you can see who's mentioning you, even if they don't tag it, and reply to clients that are talking about services in a mile radius. What I do for my business is I have people that are talking about keywords like piercing, piercings, pierced within a 10-mile radius, and then I answer their questions even if they're not asking me. That's a good automated tool. We talk a lot about Instagram on these panels, and then we talk down a lot about Facebook, where Facebook owns Instagram. Facebook actually has a business manager tool now, which is kind of coming out of its infancy, and everyone is using. And that, if you link your Instagram and Facebook to the business manager, you can run campaigns between the two, so that you don't have to do one and then go to the other. And it will run them automatically across Facebook's stories, which is a thing, apparently is a thing now. Facebook posts, Instagram stories, and also you can track Facebook Pixel on your website through there. And then through that Facebook Pixel, you can actually tag products now in Instagram, even if you don't use Shopify, which is another thing where you can just post tag products, using the Facebook Pixel on your website, which is real easy to set up. And it doesn't require a team. And then all of a sudden, you've cut you've cut like 4 people out in an agency that you would have been paying, or somebody else that you would have been paying, just because you're kind of streamlining that system. As long as you automate a lot of those things, a lot more money's worth.
I definitely have a social media team. So I don't know how these like full-time independent bloggers do it. I got a social media team around 20,000 followers. So about like 2 years ago. And basically what they do is they check all my platforms besides Snapchat, because like I said, Snapchat is no pressure for me. I can do on and off if I want with that. The people go there for the extras. When people want like the hardcore stuff, they know to go to my Instagram. Like for example, I make sure all my Instagram content is posted on Instagram first, and then it comes the day after Facebook. It makes people more inclined to go follow me on Instagram so that they can see it firsthand there rather than secondhand or a day late on my Facebook. But basically what my social media team is, they respond to all my comments and messages beyond my Instagram and Snapchat. I don't have enough time in the day. And then also they edit all my videos. They create flyers for me, banners. So if I run out of content, I'm like, here's 10 songs. It's my new workout playlist. Bam, they put it on Photoshop. We have a template ready. I have a piece of content to go if I'm lacking on something. So if I'm just like way too behind on something, I know I have one of them there. Like it's 2 of them that runs the team. And one of them will get me something right away or have something done by a certain time. Now, the only downside to this is, yes, they're obviously getting paid, so it might, it's the pro of cons for some people. I choose to work with more brands than take less brands and spend more time on them. I'm very solid in a few different career paths, and so I like to make sure that I'm hitting all my marks. So by having the social media team, I might make a little less money, but I'm working with more brands, so sometimes it even outs. And the social media team, though, definitely don't know what I'd be doing out with them. And then what was the second part of this? The algorithm. Oh, girl. Oh, the algorithm. Don't even get me started. They changed the algorithm when they just like, let's change it today. Let's put it back tomorrow. To be honest, in my own personal opinion, and everyone here I'm sure has their own opinion, you almost can't count on the algorithm. What's most important, when your little app tells you that your Instagram or your Facebook or your Snapchat or something has been updated, you better read those updates, because those are the updates. Someone asked me once when the story came around, what should I be doing? I'm not getting as many followers. You need to be posting on your story all the time. It was the newest, greatest, latest thing. Then now the Instagram TV came up. People love the Instagram TV, and I'm personally a little behind on the Instagram TV, not gonna lie on that one, but I should be there right now. So it's those little updates that we think, oh, like this app just got an update. Yes, I accept. Read what changed, because that's literally gonna make the biggest difference. like I said, they get to change the algorithm all they want. Like, I'll have like 3 amazing days on Instagram, and then the next 3 will be like, what happened? I did all the right stuff. They just like changing it willy and nilly. So what I can say is basically, if you want to screw the algorithm a little bit, to stay consistent, post on the same times on like the same days. So like on the weekends, Friday through Sunday, everyone knows you're going to post in the morning, but you know, Monday through Friday, you're posting at night. And so it's not so much the beating the algorithm as figuring out where your audiences are from. I know a big majority of my audiences are from Mexico and Canada and like the East Coast, but like all places that are either later or earlier. So since I'm dealing with such a big time change with some of them, I usually tend to post at night. And you really got to know what works for you, because a lot of brands just think you post in the morning and like everyone saw it. And I like urge brands like, don't have me post for you on a Friday. And they'll be like, let's post on a Friday. So making sure you know what your specific good times are, but also being clear with the brand. Like, if you really want this to do well, I have watched my audience. I know my audience. Let me tell you, because some brands, they think they know better than you. But with this algorithm, no one knows better than us than the people that sit behind those computers at Facebook. So knowing your audience and getting some help isn't exactly a bad thing, unless you do what Chris does, do the automated thing. To me, that's still crazy world that I don't want to get into. I like the team, but sometimes the automated thing works for a lot of people as well. It's really successful, clearly.
Right. And last question over here. Oh, yes. Okay, so we will do that now. We'll start with Haley and make our way down. Say your handle and where people can find you, if you have a website, stuff like that.
Okay. So you can find me at Haley, Hayley, Herms, HERMS official, so you know it's me. I'm Haley Herms official on mostly anything. If not, you can literally just find me at Haley Herms. I don't like to switch the platforms up too much, but you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, and I have a website which there's even more content on. So yeah.
I'm Christine Barger on everything except Instagram and LiveMe. On LiveMe, I'm Puppet Girl, and on Instagram, I'm Christine Barger Official, because I started Instagram late and did not get my name. But it's CHRISTINEBARGER.
Cool. If you just go to any search bar on any other sites and type Chris Saint, it'll just come up top, because I've spent an annoyingly long amount of time trying to make that happen. So just put a Chris in front of this, and then it'll come up.
My personal account is Shay Brink, CHEYBRINK, and the agency's is Bella Agency LA, so BELLA Agency LA.
And you can follow me online at Vivaciously Viv, VIVACIOUSLYVIV, just in case you've been here a long time and, getting tired, can't spell. And my website is vivaciouslyvivian.com. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you learned some stuff.
Thanks for being our host.
Thank you. You were great.